Hi, I'm Laura from Sticks Stones. Does Justine can tell the difference between a 20 and a 200 euro wine? Let's find out. Hey Justin, try this. One is at 20 euro, the other one is 200.
Okay, sounds fun. Let's see what we got. Number one is beautiful. Complex, very elegant. It's got a few years on it, but the nose is super fresh. Must be a very strong vintage. Definitely left bank Bordeaux, I'm assuming. Yowzers, is that good? Wow, thanks for that. Gosh, the length, that's the thing. There's so many important things to focus on here, like the texture and the length. When you're talking about great wines, these are often two of the things that are missing from a more simple wine. Not to insult the small wine at all, but that's usually what separates, let's say, the men from the boys. Let's go on number two. Also showing a little age, huh? Nose is pretty. It's a little bit darker, maybe a little less delineated, maybe a couple less layers, a little more obvious. Super nice on the palate, like perfectly round and nicely rich, super pleasant. I mean, I would expect this to be from another really solid vintage, certainly a little tiny bit younger. But the funny thing is, it looks and behaves a little bit older, even though I would expect the first one to be actually the older one, because it's probably a simpler wine, so it's got a shorter lifespan and it's more developed. But you know, that's what I love about those kinds of wines, because it doesn't have to age so long to get so much pleasure out of it. But am I totally off here? I think number one is the more expensive one.
Yes, I guess you're right. The second one was 2015.
All right.
And the first one was Château Talbot 2010, Saint-Julien.
I was gonna say, behaves like a 15, warm vintage, sunny, ripe, beautiful. A lot of 15s are very shut down right now though, if they're really big wines, but the small ones can be super delicious now, 10, 11 years out. And yeah, Talbot makes perfect sense. I was gonna say 9 or 10, but it wasn't quite sunny enough to be 9. Perfect, straight, but slightly sexy Saint-Julien with that like cedar and that sort of seductive, flirty fruit, but still very structured. And 10, super classic, one of my favorite vintages actually. You know, this really brings up so many topics. So we have a Bordeaux Superior, which is, I mean, the lowest sort of entry level, more or less, on the rung of Bordeaux, right? And then you have a Grand Cru Classé next to it. I think there's this weird, like, luxury shaming going on in the community where on one side, people are complete snobs and would even refuse to touch a bottle like this because it's somehow beneath them. But on the other side, there's people that are vilifying other drinkers who spend a lot of money on wines, saying, oh, it's silly, and I have the life hack or the cheat code to get as good of a wine for a tenth the price. And both of those extremes are stupid. It's about priorities, right? If I look at like a Richard Mille watch, I think it looks disgusting. And would I ever spend 200 grand on a watch like that? No, I wouldn't. First of all, it's not my priority. And second of all, I don't even like it. Maybe if I was hyper nerdy and I was somehow so fascinated by the inner workings so much, and of course, label drinking, spending money only because it wasn't a label, is kind of like what's happening in the auto or fashion or watch industry, where you only buy things that have a certain label on it, of course, and that's what inflates the price. I understand that as well. But not everybody's priorities are the same. And it's also not about that only, but what are you doing that night or that day? What condition are you in? Are you exhausted? Are you having a dinner where maybe the conversation is more important than the wine, and you know that you don't have the headspace to devote to what a really complex, deep wine is going to demand of you? Then this is probably a great option. It's from a great house. They produced one of my favorite Saint-Juliens, the Château de la Confession. And it's just a beautiful little Bordeaux that doesn't demand a lot of your brain. But is it delicious? Is it well made? Is it a great wine? Absolutely. If you have the passion for it, if you have the occasion, if you want to dive into your glass like you're reading a chapter of a book, then there is nothing wrong. In fact, there's something glorious about spending money on a bottle of wine like this, because what it rewards you with, not just the length and the depth and the texture and the fascination of layers of flavors that unravel, but also the ageability. These wines are built to age. They last a long time. And if you have the patience to wait 50 years for them, they will repay you 100-fold. Now, I know a lot of you get into sticky situations and maybe you're become a little gun shy pulling the trigger on an expensive wine because maybe you saved up all your money to go to dinner sometime and finally get that bottle of Lafite or that bottle of Aubryon. And maybe on the restaurant list they had one, but it was way too too young. Maybe it was like 2021 right now or something like this. And then you were disappointed because it's just not where it's supposed to be. It's a baby. And maybe it wasn't worth it to you. And then maybe you thought, oh, well, maybe expensive wine isn't really worth it. Or maybe I can't understand it. And that's where these things go pear-shaped. But I promise you, with the right guidance and the right experience, you can have so much pleasure with inexpensive wines made by great producers on a high level and by great wines, which of course are legendary. Neither of them are wrong, both of them are right. Just find the right situation and find what's right for you.
Thank you so much.